God many times is like a farmer who works on his crop to prune us of unnecessary things. The farmer does that in his crop, in his fruit orchards, so that he may get a better fruit production. And when God does pruning in our lives, many times the Bible refers to this as a chastening. Something God does is called chastening. It's when God brings us in some nurturing through different ways in order to take away the things that's not good for us. You see, this is what the whole process of chastening. Let me read a verse there in Hebrews chapter 12. Now, no chastening seems to be joyful for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, afterwards it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. So no chastening seems to be joyful. It says chastening is sometimes God disciplining us. And it's not always because of sin. Sometimes you think of chastening, I must have been in sin and God is bringing this upon me and brings that. Now sometimes in sin God will do things to bring you back to Himself. But not always. Sometimes we live righteously and holy. But there's things in our life that's just not right so that we could be fruitful the way God would want us to be fruitful. Now chastening doesn't seem to be joyful for the present. You're going through a sickness. You're going through a financial problem. You have problems at home. Problems at work. Seems everything to be fitting together. They don't seem to be joyful. They seem painful. But you see, God never allows pain in the life of His child without a purpose. And the purpose is so we can be conformed to the image of Christ. The purpose is so we can be more fruitful. And see, that's what He says, after the chastening process, when we accept His work in our life, is what He's saying. It produces something. It yields. It brings forth a fruit, a peaceable fruit of righteousness. You know, as I went out last winter and I have an apple tree, and as I saw these other offshoot branches coming out of the main branches, I knew they were going to take the fruit, the strength of the fruit away from the main branches. So I got some pruning shears and I cut those all off and I threw them away so they could be burned. There was no good use to the tree of the fruit. And now we got good fruit setting on the tree and hoping to produce good all year. We enjoy the fruit of that tree all through the winter. You see, that's what God does in our lives. He takes things away. Sometimes we think that we need those things, or He removes something that we're attached to that's keeping us from being attached to God, and something that's a little bit painful. He said if we just enjoy and just accept that, God is going to do something greater in our lives. He says it produces the fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it, to those who allow God to do this. Those to be trained by it, exercised by it. It's a term that probably the writer he thought about the athletes who trained and disciplined themselves in order to have victory. You know, our athletes today, they work hard, they sweat, they train, they go through pain. Why? For the glory of finishing first, the glory of the finish line, the glory of winning the tournament, the glory of holding up a trophy. See, the pain that they went through, the disciplines of their training, brought forth a crown of victory. So I challenge us as Christians, as believers, we need to understand that God works in our lives. He works on us to prune us. He works on us so that we could have lives that are just greater for God's glory is what He's doing. And I hope that you'll do today is say, God, if you're chastening me, God, I accept that. And if you want things out of my life, I want them out of my life too. If you want these things in my life, that's what I want in my life. My life is your life, God, and I want to be fruitful for your glory. You think about that. And life, you understand the trials of life, the chastenings of life in a brand new, much better perspective.